The Sfas Emes writes about Chanukah, Ikar hayamtiv hazeh hu lebeinanim v'chalashim. The main part of this yamtiv is for the ordinary people, the people in the middle, and the weaker people. Chanukah can seem at times so deep, so esoteric. It can be hard to connect to Chanukah. Hard to connect to what we're doing when we're lighting the nearest of Chanukah. And that's really what I want to talk about this week. How do we bring Chanukah down to our day-to-day life? How do we bring Chanukah, how do we make it applicable to our lives today? The Rambam in Hilchos Chanukah, Perek Daled, Halach Yud Beis writes, Mitzvahs Ner Chanukah, Mitzvah Chaviva Hi Ad Ma'od. The mitzvah of the Ner Chanukah, the mitzvah of lighting the menorah, is an extremely, extremely precious mitzvah. And the question is, the Rambam doesn't write this by any other mitzvah. We know all mitzvahs are precious, all mitzvahs are beloved. What is it specifically about the mitzvah of Chanukah that the Rambam writes that it's chaviva ad ma'od, that it's extremely precious? The Yom Tov of Chanukah is different than a typical Yom Tov. A regular Yom Tov, Sukkot, Pesach, Shavuos, the day itself has Kedusha. We make Kiddush. It's Asr b'Malach, we don't work on those days. But Chanukah is different. Chanukah, on a regular Tuesday night, we come home from work, we light the Chanukah nares. The day itself doesn't seem to have any special Kedusha. It's not Asr b'Malacha. We go to work. We do everything we do on an ordinary weekday. We don't make Kiddush. Why is Chanukah different than every other Yom Tov? So Rosh Hashanah Pinkus explains that Chanukah is fundamentally different than a regular Yom Tov. On a regular Yom Tov, what happens? HaKadosh Baruch Hu elevates us, brings us closer to Him. Therefore, the day is Kedusha. We make Kiddush. We don't go to work. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is bringing us up, is elevating us towards Hashem. He's bringing us towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's bringing us up. So the day itself has a certain level of Kedusha. We don't go to work on a regular Yom Tov. But Chanukah, Reb Shimshon Pinkus says, is different. Chanukah, it's not that we're being elevated and getting closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's HaKadosh Baruch Hu coming down to us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachal is saying, you stay where you are. You stay in the mundane of a regular day, of a regular work day. You don't have to do anything differently. I'm coming to you. I'm coming down to you. The Mari Naim says a very similar idea. He writes on Chanukah, Hashem comes down to the person and illuminates him, giving him the ability to return. And this is why there's a mitzvah on Chanukah to light the menorah within 10 tefachim of the ground, low down, close to the ground. Why? Because it's to symbolize HaKadosh Baruch Hu coming down to us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Kaviyachal is telling us, you stay where you are. Even if you're in a low place, I'm coming down to you. I'm coming down to be close to you when you light the Ner Chanukah. The reason why the Ner Chanukah is so precious is because the Svarim call it, it's the Ner of Gullus. It's the fire that illuminates Gullus, both our personal Gullus, our personal things that we're going through, our personal darkness that we're going through, and the Gullus, the collective Gullus, the exile that we're in. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm coming down into the darkness of your personal Gullus. I'm coming down into the darkness of the exile that we're in to illuminate our lives. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is coming down to us. You know, I was talking about this idea with a friend of mine, hat tip, Ramosha Auslander, and he told me a beautiful idea. Talking about this idea that the Ner Chanukah being the Ner of Gullus, the Ner that illuminates Gullus, he said, each Yid is represented by the Chanukah Ners that we light. That what happens? Sometimes we have a fire. We have a fire burning inside of us, but that fire goes out. The fire goes out. What do we do when the fire goes out? We light 2 fires, but that goes out. What do? We light a 3rd fire, a 4th fire, a 5th fire, and so on and so forth. That each time we fall, we light another fire. We get back up, we light another fire. Kisheva yipol tzaddik v'kam. The tzaddik falls 7 times, but he gets back up. That's represented by the nearest of Chanukah. I was thinking about that, and I was thinking perhaps this is also alluded to in the fact that in the Beis HaMikdash, the menorah that we had in the Beis HaMikdash didn't have 8 branches like the menorah that we light on Chanukah. The menorah in the Beis HaMikdash was not, the fire that we lit, the ner that we lit in the Beis HaMikdash was not a ner of Galus. It was at a time when everything was going right. When we saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu, every single day we saw HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It had 7 branches, the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash. 7 always represents what's natural. The typical cycle is always going to be out of 7. 7 is what's normal, is what's natural. But in Galus, the fact that we fall and that we get back up, the fact that we're lighting the Ner Chanukah in the darkness of Galus and the darkness of our lives, that's supernatural. 8 always represents what's above nature. The 8 nights of Chanukah represent what's above nature. The fact that a Yid keeps on getting back up after he falls, that's above nature. That's supernatural. The Yid saying, I fell 7 times, but I'm getting back up. I'm lighting the menorah in the darkness of Galus. That's supernatural. You know, just yesterday I saw an article talking about 6 of the hostages, Nebuch, that didn't make it back. But they have a video of them in Hamas tunnels, lighting the menorah, singing the nigunim, singing the songs of Chanukah, in a Hamas tunnel, in the darkness that we can't even comprehend. What were they doing? They were lighting the Chanukah menorah. That's supernatural. I can't help but think of the famous picture of a menorah in the window, and through the window across the street, you see the swastika flags hanging from the buildings. That in Nazi Germany, there were Yidden that were going and lighting a menorah. That in the darkness of Nazi Germany, they were bringing Hashem's presence into the darkness, lighting the menorah. You know, the world today seems a lot less friendly than it's been in a long time. It's frightening what's going on. We need to pause when we light the menorah and realize that what we're doing is HaKadosh Baruch Hu is coming down to illuminate our lives in the darkness of today. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, I want to come down to you. You know, we've been here before. We've been there before. We've been through the darkness before. When the Chashmonaim, after they beat the Yevanim, after they beat the Greeks, and they come back to the Beis HaMikdash, everything's in disarray. Everything's been defiled. But they find that one Pach Shem, and they find that one little jug of oil that wasn't defiled. And that was HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying, I'm here. I'm here with you in the disarray. I'm here with you in the defilement. I come down to you in the darkness. To quote the song from Distant Cousins, we've been through the fire, but we're still lighting the flames. We've been through the fire before. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is still coming down to us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is still coming down with us and saying, I want to be with you in your personal darkness. I want to be with you in the darkness of exile, of what's going on in the world. When we light the Chanukah menorah this year, let's try to be a little intentional. And let's realize that a little bit of light has the ability to dispel a tremendous amount of darkness. And when we light the Chanukah menorah, let's think about it and realize and internalize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, I want to come down to you. I want to come down to be with you in the darkness.